Alright, we are now in this. So, like in today's course, in today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to add values to our post and how to increment and decrement on a click with the help of React and Redux. And the new Redux library, which is the Redux Toolkit. Okay, so I want to go ahead now. First of all, I want me to go ahead and create a new. I'll go to my Redux folder. I will create a new file, which is a post.js, because I use post because of the what it's about to do. So you can name it whatever name you choose. As always, we go ahead and import the CreateSlice from Redux Donk, not Redux Donk, sorry to say, Redux Toolkit at redux.js/toolkit. Okay, then we call this function and we pass in a value. The first is the name, which takes, let's just say post. Okay, let's just say posts, or let's just say post, like to be unique from our configure store, that you know where it's coming from. Suppose then next is our initial state, and our initial state, as we learned on our on our user, that we learned that we should create an object that has other states, not just a single one. So in this one, we also post, which has an array of, as always, we are just repeating. So we can just say this will have a data. Let's just say post of 1, or we can use math.random to generate unique random, but it's always good to use a library to generate either a UID, or you can just generate a very unique ID. But in this case, it's just a simple project, so I'm making it easy so that you understand the point and you understand how Redux Redux.js/toolkit works with React application, the modern state management for Redux. Okay, so go ahead now. Let's just say title, because we have a title object here. As you can see, we have the post, the title, and the content. So go ahead and make sure that happen. So in the content, in the title, I'll just say learning Redux. Sorry, learning Redux.js. Learning Redux. Okay. Let us say Redux.js. Okay. Then in my content, you can just I'll just say learning Redux.js/toolkit. Whatever you wish to put, but I'm just making this easy, simple. So this is our one state, or let us add another one. Yeah, here I just put that two Redux two. Okay, let me just then Redux. We have to make it now Redux React and Redux. Okay, and just remove this two. So this is our state. So okay, I'm not cutting any post. Okay, so this is our state, and then we check what we want to do. We check is reducers, which is an object that accepts the actions that want to give it the actions. Okay, so now yeah, so the first we say add post, which is with a name function which takes the state and our action. So that is it. State of the state and action. So this is our action inside of our CreateSlice. And when we call on this function add post, it's like when we dispatch to this action to this add post, we will React Redux will make a copy of our old state. It will make a copy of our old state. Then we can be able to imitate the data. That means we change the data. You understand? So that is what we are going to do, but we are not going to make the copy here because behind the scene, Redux has already made the copy for us in any of our action that we create. The copy is already made there behind the scene when we dispatch an action. So we'll go ahead now and just push. So you can as well just make sure your action you have a value instead of an action or instead of an action. So here I want to destructure it to get the ID that will be coming from the title, okay, title and the content that will be coming from my action, which is the action that I will be dispatching, action that it has the property value, the value dot title value dot id value dot content. I'm just destructuring it here, showing for those that have not learned about destruction or have no idea about destruction. This is how you destructure data from an object in TypeScript or JavaScript. Okay, so here I'll just say instead of using action dot payload dot id or dot content, I will just say id. You get, I'll make sure that id, if I have an id, I'll make sure the id is not equals to it's not equals to undefined. It's not equals to, I can just add an or and to make sure all the data we are getting has a value. Okay, sorry, I mean it's equals to undefined. It's equals to undefined, then we will not we go inside of here and content is equals to undefined, that means the data is not set. So you can as well throw an error here, console.error return. So here I want to return, just want to return so that the update will not be the empty object that we are dispatching will not add to our list, but we want to make sure it contains the data. That is what I'm doing here, to run an if check. So if we have the data, dispatching action does payload has an ID, title, or content of a value. So I want to go ahead and run our state, which is our initial state. Make sure then dot, then we have the post, which is this post an array of array, then post, then post state dot post is an array, then dot push, because it's an array, so it has access to the push, the concatenate, the filter, the find, whatever. You get the point. So state dot push, then we want to be able to push an ID, want to be able to push an object. Okay, we are pushing the ID, the title, and the content that has the data. We're pushing to the array, so it will now be the third of the list. So we can go ahead now and okay, forgot. So this function, the CreateSlice, we need to export it so that we can use it. So I'll just create a variable to assign it onto. So this will just be, I'll just name it the post slice. Okay, then I'll make sure I export it. So I will go ahead and export it so that I'll be able to use it outside of this folder, outside of this file, sorry to say. Can be able to use our CreateSlice, our action, our state. You can be able to access it from any of our components, inside of this our React app. So that is the reason I'm going to export it so that it will be available for use. So export default, then the post slice, this, then this post slice we are going to export the action, our action. You have to make sure you are exporting your actions so that CreateSlice will be able to understand that we are exporting the action and we are also going to export the reducer. Okay, so first, sorry, this should be the reducer first of all, our reducer, which is our reducer. We are going to export the reducer that allows us to dispatch an action. This is what we are going to create to export. So let's go ahead now and make the connection to our store so that we can be able to retrieve this data before we update it. Let's go ahead. I'll go ahead to the main page where my config store is. So I'll go ahead and import my newly created post. So I'll say post reducer from, go up one level to our Redux folder slash, we have the post. React the post. So you can omit the .js extension because React will use Webpack to add it automatically for you instead of you manually coding it. So here we can give it any name of our choice. Remember we did post here without the S. So here I want to make it a unique so that you can understand where it's coming from. Here now post, then post with the S, then our post with user, so that it will be able to listen, so that it will be Redux will be able to listen for our state. So now you can go ahead to our post folder where we want to use our store, then go ahead and import, let's say something, go ahead and import something from React Redux. If you don't know with React Redux, I talked about it in my old video. That my old video when I worked with the user component, but for I will explain sorry inside the wrong folder, the wrong project, not our current project. Okay, we are here. So what React Redux does is that it allows us to create a connection between Redux and our React application. Or that is what React Redux does. As you can see, as the name implies, it allows the connection between React and Redux. Okay, so what we want to install is what we are importing is the selector use selector hook. And before we can use the use selector inside of this our project, we need to change our post, the name of our function, to an uppercase letter so that use selector can work properly. Okay, let me show you what I mean. As we've already imported this function with the use React, now we tell us to change our function to have a Pascal kind of principle, or let's say the makeshift that we want to allow that the first word will be an uppercase, so that's the rules in React. So not in Redux, but that's the rules in React. Whenever you are using the use something, you have to change your post or whatever you name your function to be a capital letter. Like the first word must be a capital letter, not the remaining one, but the first word is compulsory. So I can just go ahead and let's just say use selector here and see. Then you can store it as a state, or let's say the post state, oh sorry, state, what am I, state. Okay, you can see automatically it immediately tells us that React hook use effect is called in function post that is neither a React function component nor a custom React hook function. React component names must start with an uppercase letter. React hook name must start with the word use. Is defined. Use selector is not defined. Are you getting me? So because of we are not following the rules of the name convention when we are using the use, React automatically terminates this use selector. So to follow the rules, go ahead and change our first word to an uppercase letter so that React will be able to understand what is going on here. Okay, so I made a typo selector here. So if you check everything in the back, it's working. So we can go ahead and just say the post. This selector takes one argument, and in this argument, which is referring to our initial state here from our CreateSlice. Okay, so inside the post, so you will be asking, how do you know we are use slice is referring to this post, or this referring to this state is inside our CreateSlice and this state inside our CreateSlice. Here is what happened is that this post now that we are giving post, we are referring to all our CreateSlice. We are referring to post here. We are referring to user CreateSlice as well. So in order to tell Redux the actual one we are picking from our config store. I go to here. So what is saying now that this post, what this line is saying now, post is referring to both our reducer, both the user and the post. And if you have more, that's other reducer, it will be referring to our entire state. You get it? It will be referring to the entire state. So we want to grab a state from our post based on, if we access the user, you can see that is why the unique name comes into play. So if we are grabbing the user, that means we are getting the state from the user. If we are grabbing the post, then we are getting the state from the post. Okay, so now here we have to make sure that this name is what we use here. So it becomes post dot post. Okay, this now is what we are getting. So becomes we now return this. Okay, so let's console.log out. Let's see what we get. So let me just say it's coming from post, but coming from the post state. From the post. Okay. Good. Let's refresh the page. Okay. So you can see I'm adding a post. You can see I'm adding a post from line 6 post.js. Line 6 post.js. Okay, it's coming from here. Okay. Then if I expand it to see what's inside, we are seeing we are getting the post. We are getting the object, the post, which is an array. Okay. So you can see so now we are getting the array as we are getting the post, okay, which is an object that has the array. Okay, so we have the post dot, okay, so we are seeing this post now, this first post is coming from our state, our initial, the first argument we give them. This second post now is coming from this our posts. Please make it clear. Okay, let me change the name to make you understand. So here I'll just say post and delete this post so that you will understand where it's coming from. This post refers to this post dot post, which is coming from our store post. Then this refers now to our state. because post.post is now referring to, okay, our name. It's now referring to our posts with user, which is now our initial state, everything of this initial state. Do you get it? Okay. So now we are referring to our entire state. We are referring to our entire state because assuming we have some other values like name, maybe 30, age. Okay. Oh, sorry to say, name, age, 30. This, I'm assuming we have this value that I added inside of the state. That means we have two objects inside of the state. One has the age object that has a number, and the second one has a post that has an array of objects. Okay. So this post.post now is now referring to our age, our post, and any other that we have, but currently we have only two. So we want to specify which exactly are we talking about. So now we are talking about the post. So go ahead now and add the post. Make sure the name is there. Okay, is it post or post? Let's confirm. Okay, posts with the S. Go ahead and add the S. Okay, so I just want to make this clear. So I'm going to remove this our age that we added because we are not going to use it. So this is what. So go ahead and console our post. Let's just say updated because we have already changed it. So line 6. If I refresh our page, you can see the updated post. You can see we now have we are not talking with the post array inside of the initial state object, which has two properties, the 0 and the 1. Okay, so now we have an array. So this now returns an array. Post state now returns an array. We are using JavaScript here. So based on it's an array, we have to, as you already know, we have to map to the array to render the object inside of it, because we have more than one object, and we are going to add more. We are going to push more to the array. So you can go ahead and just map to it so that we can render everything from top to bottom. So go ahead. Okay, I want to render here. So instead of our GSS, I'll create an object, a curly braces so that we can be able to write our JavaScript inside of GSS. Okay, all right, our React code, which is also JavaScript. So I'll say post states, which is the array dot map. Then this our map will now be, so I'll be render p as the first argument. Okay, so it will now be, okay, so post now title here will now be our p dot title, also here p dot content. Okay, then make sure we wrap this function we are getting. And I've talked about that the first that the first component or the first tag that you are that you wrapped all your components or your HTML syntax that you are going to map to. You have to make sure you add the key property. And these key properties, you have to make sure it has a unique ID or something that you can use, so that when each of our array gets deleted in the future, we have to be able to tell which of them is deleted and which of them should be removed due to this keyword and the ID. So go ahead now and refresh our page and see them in action. You can see it's working. We have the title, Redux, content. Let me just go ahead and differentiate it a little bit so that you can spot the changes. Okay, just go to the content. So now if I reload the page so that you see everything again in action. Okay, you can see the title got changed to Redux content. You can see or let me just make it a bit more for some other set of people to see. I'll go ahead now and just put the arrow tag for horizontal line. You can see difference now. You see title, Redux.js, then Redux.js, then React and Redux. So it's working. So now we are going to add another title, content, and ID to this post. So that's what we are going to do here. So we've already created, inside of our post CreateSlice action, inside of our reducer, inside the CreateSlice, or inside of posts, okay, we already created an action, which is the post action to push. So we are going to feed it with data. So first of all, we need to make add post to be accessible inside of this our component and any other component that we choose to use. We choose to use this action post. So as you can tell, we need to export it so that it will be accessible. So create the export, then give it the structure with, then we add the post, the name, because I'm using the structure here because I'm going to in the future you'll be adding more actions. So it will just be adding more, and the structure is the newest way to extract data from an object, because our reducers here, or you can see there, our reducers here is an action. So add post will now be our post slice. You have to make sure this states post slice dot actions. Okay, dot actions, so that we are now exporting this in the action. So you can see this will be the type post slash add post. If you don't add a type, this will be the generated type that Redux.js slash toolkit will add for you, or it's a CreateSlice will add behind the scene, or to generate for you. So we can go ahead now and dispatch an action. So first we need to go inside of where we want to use it. In this project we are using it inside of the post component. So we can go ahead and export our posts from our store. Go up one level to slash redux slash posts. Okay, without the file extension, remember. Then this dot referring to the first file and the second folder we are coming out. Okay, two dot make up a folder, then one dot make up a single file. Okay, then two dots make up a folder. So that's how it works. So we are going to, then we are getting the post add post function that we have dispatched. So let's see. Okay, it is. So we are going to create a function. Let's say add post handler, add post handler function that will be triggered, and when it is triggered, we'll be able to dispatch. We can be able to dispatch something. So we can create a, let's say, okay, the data we need. Let's just copy to make this a little bit faster. I want to be able to, so I will just say post. So I can change the data here. I will just say 3. I hope you understand what I'm doing. Say newly added. Okay. Then inside the content, I'll just say learning group to depth. Okay, I'll just bring this down so that to be easy to read and understand. Okay, so now we want to be able to send this post, this our newly created post, into our post, into our list of posts. So go ahead and dispatch. So how do we dispatch? So this is, so how do we dispatch now? Because now we've already created a use slide to get our post, to get our state. So now how do we send to Redux to update our slides? It's very easy with the help of Redux Tonk. So Redux Tonk gives us another package that allows us to do it. So this other package is called use dispatch. Use dispatch function, and go ahead now and maybe and call the use dispatch, and call it as a function now here, and just store it inside of a variable. I'll just say dispatch post. Okay, whatever name you choose, dispatch post. Okay, go ahead now. When we are done creating the post, we want to be able to dispatch post, which is this name that we added few minutes or few seconds, to be able to dispatch our action. So we now call the post, this post here, which is coming from our action in our CreateSlice that we exported. So we're now dispatching, and needs to take an argument, and we need to pass a single argument. You can see payload, a single argument, and this will be the automatic generated type for you. You don't need to add any type. So this will be the type that will be created for you. So this will be, we here now we only pass a single argument, and this single argument, you can say that our single argument will be the post, which is exactly, which is this object we are dispatching to. It will now be on our case slide, will now be payload.id, action.payload.id, action.payload.title, action.payload.content. Okay, so now we are not dispatching to this. So ideally we want to be able to trigger a function So this is the function. So how do we call this function? So I want to add, I don't want to allow the function to be triggered when it gets marked on the DOM. Rather, I want to be able to add an event so that when an event occurs, we can be able to dispatch to our CreateSlice. So I'll go ahead now. Okay, I'll go ahead now and just create a button inside of here. I'll just create a button for an on-click. So an on-click action should be triggered. So I'll just say add post. Okay, so I'll call an on-click because this is React. So I'll pass the add posts and the function, which is this function that is coming from add post function. So when it's being triggered, we run this function and dispatch to the action. So let's go ahead now and test our code and see it in action. Okay, so you can add to post. You can see new title, newly added content, learning, creating depth. And you can see it's being added to the being append or push to the last of the list. Okay, because what push now in JavaScript does is that it add to the end of the list. Okay, so we have succeeded in dispatching. Okay, so now in our next video, I'll be showing you how to increment and decrement. So let's just make this clear. I'll be going to count and I'll be adding a value here. I'll be adding a value. I hope this is visible. Okay, 0. So 0 is our value here. So I'll be able to, when I click on it, it will increment to +1, 2, 3. Then when I decrement, it will reduce the value by 1. So in the next video, I will teach you that. Thank you for your time.